recruiting, new jobs, new careers, new change, especially if you were born prior to 1980. There's a lot of people out of work. And the first thing that I ask is, how much you got left in the tank? I'm in the packaging, label printing, converting business. That business is growing, okay? But there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions. They call that consolidation. And it's worldwide. It's not just the United States. I know companies that have bought, have sold, and guess what happens? They start looking at talent. What talent do we retain? What talent do we let go? Years ago, GE had a program called the Black Belt program. And they basically determined who their A players are, who their B players are, and their C players. They were qualifying their own teams because their goal was to be number one in their field. Whatever that core competency was of technologies, they wanted to be number one. So what did they do? They took 10% of the top 10 of the 100%, and the B players and the C players, they eventually turned over and said, you're gone. And they kept the top 10. Well, guess what's happening? That's what's going on now. That's small business, private equity, because they're looking for people. They're looking for people to integrate and execute these deals that they just created. I'm sitting there listening to people and they're, Rock, I need a job. Rock, I need a job. I'm on LinkedIn. I let people know that, hey, listen, I know a lot of people. I know the buyers, the sellers. I'm basically a matchmaker the last 20, 25 years of my 50 years of service. But I've kept all my contacts. I've kept my reputation. I kept my integrity to do things right. So now people are coming to me, 45 and older, saying, Rock, I need a job, or Rock, I need a change. Rock, I'm worried. Of course you are. But I can't save you. You have to save yourself. You have to do the homework. And there's only two reasons why people are going to hire in the future. Number one, they look for people that grow their bottom line, grow their top line in sales, generate growth. Number two is solutions. What solutions do you bring to the party? Like supply chain or buying materials correctly, worldwide, having connections, knowing how to negotiate the best price possible. Salespeople, you better have contacts. You better have relationships. And what is the opportunity to actually have your clients transfer over from your existing baseline to a new supplier? I worked with a guy in the RV industry many, many years ago, and we poached him. My former company was in the RV business, and then 3M. And 3M told me who to go after because they were selling their films, okay, to the RV industry. And we were basically new to the industry. So what we were doing is trying to get, we had all the capabilities to do it, but 3M partnered with us with specialty materials, and they also told us, Rock, go after this guy, go after that guy. And seriously, I got a unique story. We called the guy and his son-in-law to say, listen, we're interested in talking to you. Would you like to come, or do you want us to come out and see you? Because he had 20 years with the RV industry. He says, Rock, we'll come to you. It was in Amish country in Elkhart, Indiana. That's where the big business was with the Amish and the RV manufacturers. Very excellent businesses. And 3M had, I would say, 50% of the market, but they wanted more. I believe Avery at the time, was called Fason, had the other 50%. That was before Arlon and K Automotive Materials and so on. So I'm very in tune with supply chain. So we got a unique situation. Not only were we going to get film, we're going to get the client. Now we're going to get the salespeople, who the relationships were, to take the orders, to process them, and also design. And you know what they did? They got on a flight that day, and they went to Kmart, if anybody remembers Kmart. They went to Kmart to get a fresh fresh set of underwear and T-shirts to meet with us the next day. Honest to God. And guess what? They signed on with us. So I know that when there's talent out there, you got to go for it. Just like athletes. If you're looking for a free agent, you go for them. Non-competes, they're not fearful. They're not enforceable. And if they are, you could get out of them. It's just through negotiations. But by state, every state's got a different one. So what's happening now is a lot of these companies that I'm aware of in my industry are being acquired by private equity. And what they do is they sort out the A, B, and C players. In fact, they might even not even refer to you as an A player. So you got to reprove yourself. How much time do they give you? 6 months to a year. And if you don't produce in those 6 months to a year, you're on your way out. That's the opportune time. Start looking for a new career, a new job, a new employer. A lot of action. But don't forget, it's not like a resume. They want to know your achievements. What did you achieve those 40 years at your former employer, 10 years or 15 years or 20 years? Let's face it, man. It's the NFL. It's not for long. So when you go for a new career, expect negotiations. Expect you to present yourself as if you're selling your business, which is you. What qualifications do you have? And the best companies are going to hire you. They're going to hire you because they want the top two things, either top line or bottom line. How do you contribute to the top line? How do you contribute to the bottom line, the net profit? And have a 3 to 5 years. Some people get an employment contract. 3 to 5 years. Nothing wrong with asking for that. So you could plan. And don't sign a non-compete. How much time do you give yourself to start thinking about this? My understanding is 6 months to a year and a half before you find something that you want. So keep where you are. Keep producing. And that's what I did when I eventually got bought out by my former partner. I was an employer and I had a partner. I just kept selling, kept growing my relationships. Keep strong. So I just carried them over. So when I walked out after sale of cash only, I walked out with my, have you ever heard this word? Rolodex. The same thing as a CRM today. My CRM's got 70,000 contacts. All right? I've kept them all. Dead or alive, you're in my CRM if I had any type of relationship with you. That's the reason why I'm still relevant in the industry. I know the players. So don't forget, you got to have something in the tank, and you got to prove it. You got to prove that you were successful in sales. You were successful in supply chain. You were successful in solution provider. Okay? Now, if you don't trust your new employer or your employer, and if there's not complete transparency during this time, you might go into a timeline and say to myself, you know what? I got to start planning, man. I got to start planning my future. But I can't do it for you. I can't produce a resume. I don't know who you are, probably. The people that I do know, I've already talked to. But it's the other players that, you know what? I might not know who you are if you're under 45. A lot of people I know their sons or their fathers and their grandfathers. And now their sons are in the industry. Oh my God. And if you're making whatever it is, whatever your W-2 is, your 1099, don't expect that. Expect progress, but just the fact that you're picked up by a winner means something. But because if you're a winner, they're a winner, it's a great combination. So that's where your research should be, is finding out who the best suppliers are, who the best customers are, who the best film suppliers are. At the end of the day, if it's private equity, you're being run by analytical people and shareholders. And guess what the shareholders want? They want growth. They want growth. And they want to make margins. In private equity, if they're strategic, they're going to buy and hold. If they're financial, it's a 5 to 7 year deal. All right? So start thinking about yourself now and start positioning yourself. It's not about a resume. It's about your achievements. And you got to sell yourself. The first goal is an introduction. That's where I come in. That's where my contacts come in, is an introduction. Overconfidence is out. What it takes is somebody that's got integrity. Somebody that's got the transparency. Somebody that's got the timeline to meet their timeline. Because basically you're either going to work for a W-2 or you're going to work for a 1099. And you know what? Neither one is a problem. Have a lot in the tank. And you got to show it. And you got to be aggressive. You can't be passive in today's market. Okay? You got to prove your value. You got to have a strategy. And that strategy needs a plan. And who's going to implement it? Nobody else but you. Okay? So I'll talk to you soon. Rock Lamana, stay the course. Know your value. Always bring joy. I'll talk to you soon.